This is an ancient Indian dude with far too much time on his hands. And these guys are cutting-edge, pioneering brain scientists. Now what could they possibly have in common? Welcome to the Science of Yoga and What It Means to Us, Part 1. Let's go back thousands of years to the ancient world. The first mystics would leave their towns, villages and everyday distractions to find solace in the forest. There, in isolation, they studied their own inner experience. As they looked within, what they found was a myriad of thoughts and emotions, just like most people would. And also, like most people, these thoughts seemed to cause anxiety and seemed to serve no real practical purpose. But with vigilant observation, the mystics found that when they stopped feeding their thoughts, they started to get quieter and quieter. They were quite literally changing their state of mind from the inside out. The mystics in India called this practice vipassana, which means clear seeing. Today, we call it meditation. Now, fast forward to the early 2000s. Scientists studying the brain and the effect of brain exercises started to make some surprising discoveries. Brain science was still in its infancy. And in fact, up until late into the 20th century, it was still thought that the brain was solid, like concrete, unable to change in its structure. But then, they discovered a phenomenon called brain plasticity. It seemed the brain could actually change. It could be shaped and rewired by exercise. And guess what they found had the power to cause structural changes? Yep, meditation. Several studies found a whole host of structural changes in the brains of people who meditated. Here are some of the changes they found. The default mode network, which could stimulate wandering and aimless thought grooves, was quietened down. The amygdala, which processes fear and anxiety, reduced in size and activity. Grey matter in the sensory regions of the brain increased, which in turn enhanced sense perception. These were startling discoveries, and it became clear that there was something to this ancient practice after all. But it's not just neuroscience. The field of psychology also owes some recent developments to this Eastern philosophy. The mystics of old times claimed this simple fact. With regular insight, you'll see that your thoughts are not real. And the recent success of cognitive talk therapy uses this exact same strategy. The subject learns to see the falseness of their own repetitive thinking. They are simply an interpretation of what is going on, not the actuality of what's going on. So, what's the difference, you might ask? Well, say someone next to you makes a sarcastic remark. This may trigger you to start thinking about a number of possible explanations, and they could all be completely false. For example, she did that on purpose. Everyone does this to me. They're all planning to keep me down, etc. See how these thoughts lead to other thoughts which multiply with each other? The philosophy of vipassana is to see that these thoughts are nothing more than stories in your head. And as you get better, they stop multiplying so quickly. But don't be disheartened, it takes practice. By the way, you don't necessarily have to look like a yogi or sit like a pretzel to meditate. So whether it's breathing meditation, watching meditation, dancing or fishing meditation, whatever clears your mind is a great place to start. All of these techniques contribute to a healthier mind. There is something that brain science is starting to substantiate, and it's what ancient mystics said all those years ago. Welcome to the Science of Yoga, Part 2. In ancient times, the yogis in India intuited that bodily posture has a profound effect on a person's state. They believed that tiny channels called nadis ran through the human body, carrying through them a force called prana, life force. And it was said that if these nadis were kept aligned, the flow of prana would be smooth and unhindered, contributing to overall health, kind of like a well-oiled machine. When these nadis get impeded, energy builds up and we feel it as pressure. The idea of yoga is to counter these misalignments and bring the body back into its natural state. The yogis saw the body and mind not as separate entities, but as a single continuum, both influencing each other. So if the body was kept energetically balanced, the mind would follow suit. But what's the need for this, you might ask? Well, years and years of ignorance, smartphones, TV watching and poor conditioning has kicked many people's bodies out of balance and made them habitually misaligned. Could watching our posture be at least one way of countering this trend? According to Western science, the answer is yes. Here's what some studies have showed. Simply sitting up straight affects your mood to the point that you're more likely to remember positive memories as opposed to negative ones. It's also shown to reinforce confidence. Standing up straight has shown to increase testosterone levels and decrease cortisol, which is known as the stress hormone, and this may well be because certain postures, or asanas, claim to affect the organs in a positive way. So could it be that the unhindered flow of prana through the body makes us feel more inhabited, calms down a wandering mind and energizes the body? Is this another area that yogis and scientists can agree on? Another separate area of yogic study is the breath. Do you know that we breathe approximately 23,000 times a day? And for most people these are shallow chest breaths, usually involving the intercostal muscles, especially in times of stress. But they pale in comparison to their counterpart, diaphragmatic or belly breaths, known by the yogis as Adham Pranayama. Of course, you're not actually breathing air into your stomach, but it's the diaphragm that's doing the work, not the chest muscles. This type of breathing not only improves lung function, fitness and posture, it's also said to activate the vagus nerve, triggering the parasympathetic relaxation response. This is evidence of a stunning link between breathing patterns and the nervous system. So while our society thinks mental health is confined purely to the brain, our yogic friends of olden times said that the mind and body are inseparable. Yogic practice or awareness, whether postural or breathing, does, it seems, have a profound effect on our state of being.